The HTS5 online platform can be found at www.hogrefe-online.com, and this is the landing page that you see when you go to that URL. HTS5 login information consists of a username and a password, and there are two types of login information: test user login and account supervisor login. Test user access is for the creation and management of test takers and setting up tests and handling test results. Account supervisor access is for managing the account at the super user level, such as managing the settings for the test users on the account and other general settings, and for reviewing available credits and usages on the account. Note that test administration cannot be done using a supervisor login. I'll show you both types of account, first the test user account and then the account supervisor, but both are accessed via this single platform. Also on this screen, you can navigate to an About page with some details on system requirements, privacy information, and our contact details for customer support. So I'll now log in with a test user login. Okay, so this is the main home screen, and it is used for test setup. As you can see, the HTS5 interface is very clean, and there are only two other tabs necessary, one for test results and one for test takers, and more on those later. So to begin setting up a test, you should begin with a test taker. The slider can be set to the left to add or select individual test takers, or set to the right to enable serial testing, which is creating a bulk link for a defined number of test takers. When setting up individual testing using the Add Test Taker function, individual test takers whose details have previously been added to HTS5, your HTS5 account, will be listed for selection. New test takers can also be added by choosing Add New Test Taker. Please note, if adding a new test taker individually like this, either the last name or the individual code field must be filled, or you will have anonymous test results. We also ask that gender is provided due to some of our norm groups requiring this. But if this data can't or shouldn't be collected, an assumed gender can be assigned, and this will be marked throughout with an asterisk. Finally, groups and categories can be applied to each test taker. From this screen, only existing groups and categories can be added, but I'll tell you a bit more about groups and categories later. When setting up serial testing, test takers do not need to be pre-selected, or their details added beforehand. What happens is a single link is generated that can be sent to the required number of test takers. So test takers using this link will be asked to enter information such as their name, an individual code, a gender, email address, etc. before beginning their test session. And the information that they're asked to enter is defined by the test user who sets up the serial testing link. So for example, using this additional parameters field here, you can or choose to ask for age or not, gender as explained. We definitely recommend selecting one of these fields here, again, otherwise you'll have anonymous test results. The serial testing setup can produce one single link that everyone can use, or as many individual links as required. So for example here, I'm producing one single link that can be used 10 times, or by making it unique for each test taker, I will produce 10 individual links that will only work once. So once you've added your test takers or produced your serial set up a link, you simply need to select which test you want them to take. It's just a case of selecting the appropriate tests from the drop-down menu. You can select more than one test to create a test battery, and you can build in pauses of varying lengths as required. When you're compiling the battery, you can drag and drop the tests around and the pauses. You can also remove anything that you've added accidentally. Whilst you're producing this battery, you can also see a nice set of summary statistics at the bottom with an estimated duration of the testing time, how many tests you've included, and obviously how many test takers you have. Once you've selected your test takers and your test sequence, the Start button menu here offers various administration options. And after you've made your selection from this drop-down list, you simply press the play button to begin the selected process. So the first option here is Start Local Test. This will begin the test session locally, that is on the PC or the tablet currently being used for test setup. And note that for security reasons, if you're selecting this option, HTS5 will automatically log you out of the test user account, i.e. this administration interface, before starting the test. You can also see here that beginning a local test isn't possible if you have more than one test taker selected. So this, you can see here, this play button is grayed out. Second option is to create login details. And this will draft a test session invitation for the test takers and providing unique links generated for their testing session, as well as some text about the system requirements for the platform. The functionality to create an email containing this information on the screen is available, but the information can also be copied and pasted into other formats of documentation if preferred. Draft test session invites for more than one test taker, as you can see here, will also offer the possibility to download a CSV or Excel file containing all login information, in case you're doing a mail merge or something similar. The final option is for quick input. Now, this offers streamlined data entry to input results gathered using a paper and pencil version of the test, which can then be used to generate results and output reports as if the test was taken on HTS5. Again, note that this option isn't available if serial testing or more than one test taker have been selected. HTS5 provides an easy access history of all previously set up test sessions, and this is found via the logbook here. Each row shows a single test transaction, i.e. that is any test session setup process that has ended with that start button we were just showing you. Note that serial test session invites will show as a single entry in the first instance and will be split out into individual entries whenever one of the test takers begins their session. So for example here, you can see this was a bulk link that was set up for 10 people on the LJI. Once somebody accesses that link and begins their test session, they will become a unique entry in this list. So selecting a row in the logbook will, in some cases, provide the opportunity to view the test session invite again or cancel it, for example. So you can see here, you can view the login details again and it brings up that test session invite, particularly useful if someone contacts you and says they've deleted the email or never received the email that had the test session invite in. You can also cancel any of these pending test sessions in case that's required. The availability of these kind of options here is dependent on the status of the test session, which can be established by this symbol in this column here. An explanation of all the possible symbols can be found in the HTS5 user guide, which Jamie will tell you about later. Also, if you hover your cursor over one of these symbols, it will provide further details on the status. So for ease of navigation through a logbook, we have standard search function, but also a filter function where you can filter by test session status, for example. Ultimately, you would like to see as many green ticks as possible because these are successfully completed tests. And double clicking on a completed test session in the logbook will jump you directly to that set of results, which leads us neatly to the second tab, our results tab. Now, the results page is divided into 3 columns. The first column lists test takers within the account. The middle column displays the available test results for the selected test taker. And the final column displays a preview of the selected results. So after selecting a single test taker, and note that the slider here, you can arrange your list by group or individually, or you can use the search function. The middle column will display all the tests taken by that selected individual. Any successfully completed tests, i.e. those marked with the green tick, can be selected. And then, as I said, the third column will display the selected result. And there are multiple tabs to review on this preview, such as the profile sheet, scale details, item level analysis, and so on, depending on the type of test taken. And there is also some further variability here, which is dependent on the different editions of HTS5. I'll just give you a little run through of some of these. So for example, the option to create a target profile and rank results in relation to this is available in the HR edition of HTS5. So for example, here we have 2 candidates selected. If I go to ranking, because I have selected a specific target profile, they are ranked accordingly. You can also, in the HR edition, view the results as a group profile, including scale statistics calculated as the group. And another functionality that we offer as part of the clinical edition are to review results over time. So for example, here we can see 2 test sessions over 2 different periods. And finally here, this profile overlay that you can see where you can combine multiple results is available on the basic edition. So this is available on our standard as a standard feature. I appreciate there's quite a lot of information here, but rest assured, Jamie will provide some more detail on the different editions of HTS5 after this demo. So as you've just been seeing, I've been clicking on this results toolbar at the top here, and this offers more functionality and settings, basically. So the first icon, which is available with the HR edition only, shows you the target profile that we were discussing earlier, that allows you to rank results against a target. The second, which is available in all editions, gives you the variety of norms available for the certain test, scales, and also reliability settings. And the third icon simply enlarges the display of these preview columns. So to generate a printable version of these results, you simply select the desired result and head to print. Now there is a drop-down menu in this top right-hand corner which allows you to select which result you'd like, which type of report you'd like, if you've and here you can see whether you've unlocked them, therefore use the credit on that later or not. Again, choose which norm sample you'd like and also which scale. As a note, if you do use 1 credit to unlock a technical report, you can generate this multiple times with different norms and on different norm scales without any extra cost. So once you've selected the type of report you want, you can also edit which sections of the report you'd like to print. And once you've made your choices, you can access a final PDF of this that can be downloaded or printed and so on via this button. We also offer the possibility of exporting the data simply rather than by PDF. And this is particularly useful for multiple test takers where you have a huge set of data. And these can be done, the options for this are available PDF, CSV, Excel. We also offer XML depending on some of your selections. And moving on to the final tab, the Test Taker tab. This provides options for test taker management. And the left column displays the database of test takers that is related to the user account. And by selecting a test taker in this left column, it will list all the available tests linked to that individual in the Results tab. The list will show the test name, the test form, for example, standard, self-rating, observer rating, so on, the date and time of last modification, So for example, for a completed test, that will be the date and time of completion, the test status, and the test language. Double-clicking on an entry with a green tick will take you directly back to that test result on the results page, that same functionality that we saw from the logbook. And selecting a test taker in this left column and accessing the Profile tab will allow you to review and edit the test taker's personal information. Groups can also be created and assigned from this page, which is a useful function as test taker databases do have a habit of growing. As you can see, we can order by group or just individually. And again, on this list, you can also search for a particular candidate. This page, the test taker management page, also offers the option for importing a batch of test takers via CSV file. And you can do this by selecting New and bring up that Add Test Taker field we saw on the first homepage, but also via this Import button, which is an additional function found only on this page. Full instructions as to how to upload a CSV file of test takers and how this should be structured can be found in our HTS5 user guide. And finally, this drop-down menu located alongside the power symbol on the top right of any page is used to access the test user login settings, the system requirements, and the customer support details, or to log out. Choosing settings from this menu will open a preferences window that has 4 tabs. The General tab is used to set the system language and the test user's email notification settings. So for example, receiving email notifications regarding test completions or remaining test usages. The Security tab is used to change the password of the test user login and also displays the session timeout settings, i.e. the time that's allowed before the account will be logged out due to inactivity. That would be 15 minutes, as you can see here. The Account tab can be used to adjust the details of the test user. So name, email, as you can see here, this is Jamie's account. It is also possible to adjust work group and category settings via this tab if the appropriate permissions have been granted at the account supervisor level. As you can see, that is not the case here, so the only option in this account is to rename the account and update the details. Finally, the Test Licenses tab is used to review the available tests on the account and their existing usages or credits. Note that the usages displayed here relate to the account as a whole, which may have one or more test user connected to it. And using the Advanced mode here provides information regarding reserved usages. That is, usages allocated to test sessions that have not yet been used, i.e. those invitation sessions that you can see in the logbook. A credit would only be taken when the test has been successfully completed, i.e. is showing a green tick. Now, as I said at the beginning, all new customers are sent a minimum of 2 sets of login information, the account supervisor login information and 1 or more sets of test user login information. I've just been walking you through the test user account, but I just briefly want to show you the account supervisor level. As I mentioned, these are both accessed via the same main URL, hogrefeonline.com. So as you can see here, it's an even simpler interface. Upon login, you see 4 tabs that look very similar to the settings that we just saw on the test user account. I won't go over the ones that are identical, but I will show you the account tab, which has 4 subsections, unlike on the account we just saw, which only had 1. So these settings are particularly useful for managing accounts that have more than 1 test user. And they are quite detail rich, so I won't go into them now, but we are more than happy to walk through these functions with anyone who might be interested. So please let us know if this is the case for you, and we'll arrange a session. They are very useful and can really help when you're managing a large database of test users and you have multiple test user logins. So just as a final reminder, as you can probably see from here, the account supervisor login cannot be used to set up tests. That must be done by one of the test user logins. As you can see from this account, we actually have 6 test user logins. Okay, and that, you'll probably be pleased to hear, is the end of my HTS5 walkthrough.